People's relentless assault on the natural world has pushed many animals closer to extinction. That includes some of the great apes, like the gorilla and orangutan, mankind's distant relations. The onslaught can take many forms: the wholesale destruction of habitat, or simply men forced to kill for meat. In Kahuzi-Biega National Park, Zaire, aerial reconnaissance has detected a poacher's camp. Their quarry is the eastern lowland gorilla. An anti-poaching team moves in. The captured poacher's camp was set up to kill not only small animals for their skins, but gorillas for meat. They'll now go to prison. Poaching gorillas is a serious offence, for there are possibly only 10,000 eastern lowland gorillas left in Africa. These are desperate men. Some of them are armed with automatic weapons. Some time ago, the warden's brother was killed by poachers in this very park. Evidence of the poacher's trade still lies in wait to surprise the unwary. A well-hidden spring trap with an upturned spear was designed to impale a gorilla. The patrol razes the poacher's camp to the ground. Where the great apes are concerned, it's easy to regard the poachers as the enemy, yet they are not the gorilla's principal foe. To them, gorillas are just meat that can be eaten or sold. Motives harder to condone are those behind large-scale habitat devastation. This continual destruction of the forests in which the great apes live will signal the end of the species more effectively than a poacher's spear. People need land to grow crops, and they also covet profit from timber. But at what cost to the gorilla? On the other side of the world, in Sumatra, a similar scene is being played out. The primary rainforests there are being cut down even faster to meet a market for timber in Japan. This time, the victim is another of the great apes, the orangutan. After the exaggerated tales of early travellers, our knowledge of the great apes is now undergoing complete revision. The Malay name orangutan means person of the forest, but the animal is hardly comparable to a human. Despite its fearsome displays, the gorilla is usually a gentle creature. Both are now on the endangered list. One lives in the high rainforests of Africa, and the other is the only great ape in Asia. This is the Sumatran rainforest, one of the last refuges of the orangutan. Orangutans today exist only on the islands of Borneo and Sumatra. In Sumatra, they are now confined to forests at the northern end of the island. The orangutan differs from the gorilla in almost every aspect of its lifestyle. It lives principally in the treetops. Its long arms are adapted for swinging and climbing, and its hands and feet are enormously strong. Orangutan's fingers are powerful enough to break into a cement-hard termite's nest. Early naturalists classified the orangutan as quadrimanus, the four-handed beast. The feet, equipped with opposable big toes, are as good as a second pair of hands. A youngster's climbing skill is instinctive, though it has to be perfected by practice. It has been known for young orangutans to fall out of trees, badly injuring themselves. Orangutans spend much of their time travelling in the trees, but they also come down to the ground more frequently than was previously thought. While the gorilla feeds mostly on the ground, the orangutan finds much of its food in the treetops, like fruits, vines and plants such as wild peppers. Like the gorilla, the orangutan builds a nest to sleep in. In the orangutan's case, it's always in the trees. There are practical reasons for the orangutan's preference for heights. Another endangered species lives in the forests of Sumatra, the tiger. Aside from people, the gorilla has no large predators. A young orangutan makes its bed stronger by twining leaves and branches together. Orangutans are semi-solitary animals, sharing trees with others only during certain feeding periods, courtship, and when a mother has offspring to suckle and transport through the branches. A baby orangutan clings to its mother's fur almost from birth. It's able to hold on unaided as the mother travels through the trees. The baby weighed just under a kilogram at birth. It'll be weaned at the late age of 7 or 8 years and, even then, will stay with its mother until after another baby is born. Everything the juvenile learns about contact with other orangutans is either instinctive or taught by the mother. they learn what fruit and plants are edible. Much of this experience is gained by observing what their mother is eating. Orangutan infants are reared by only their mothers. They have no other companions except possibly an older sibling. Only rarely do two infants of similar age meet in the forest. When they do, they can be just as playful as young gorillas or chimpanzees. But young orangutans eventually lose their playful dispositions. By the time they're adolescents, they'll be semi-solitary like their parents. If these two meet again in a few years' time, they'll most likely ignore each other. The social life of Asia's red ape is sometimes in evidence when fig trees bear fruit. Then, the orangutans come together to feed communally, but this doesn't happen often. Orangutans are not territorial, though the females in particular keep to parts of the forest which they consider their home range. They remain spread out, perhaps to conserve food supplies. The males are more nomadic. Their long calls advertise their presence to both females and rival males. Orangutans have several different types of call, including a kissed squeak given when the ape is afraid or angry. They also deter intruders by breaking off branches, even whole rotten tree trunks, and letting them crash to the ground. The orangutan at the top of the tree has been isolated by tree felling activities. Surrounded by humans and with no other trees to move into, it cannot escape. Orangutans are essentially gentle animals, but the behavior of breaking branches and throwing them towards the ground is one method they use to intimidate intruders. If threatened, the orangutan could be a formidable opponent, but under normal circumstances, they are not dangerous animals. The eastern lowland gorilla. Behaving in the manner which long ago earned them a fierce reputation that has taken many years to dispel. Except when confronted with a potentially dangerous situation, the gorilla is a shy creature. This is an adult male, known as a silverback. His charges are terrifying, but he seldom follows through. They're intended to frighten off intruders. Gorillas live in equatorial Africa. There are 3 subspecies. The eastern lowland and the mountain gorilla live in Zaire and Rwanda. The western lowland gorillas are found in several countries, including the Cameroons and Gabon. Gorillas live in groups of from 5 to 30 members. They're led by one mature or silver-backed male, named from the silver-coloured hair of his saddle. Black-backed males, not yet grown to full maturity, are subordinate to the silverback. The young males, adult females, and young animals are all under the silverback's supervision. The silverback dictates the direction and times of each day's travels in search of food. His group watch him for signals. The direction in which he is looking tells them which way he's planning to go. When he finds food and sits down to eat, the rest of the group follow his example. The silverback's supremacy in the group is absolute. He normally fathers all the group's offspring until he is deposed by a younger male. Young males often leave their groups at maturity, while females sometimes switch groups when two gorilla bands meet. The group system works efficiently. It provides protection and makes full use of the senior male's ability to lead and defend his family. One definition of a great ape, as opposed to a monkey, is that it walks on its knuckles and fists rather than on the palms of its hands. Gorillas, like the other ape species, chimpanzees, orangutans and bonobos, are able to stand upright, but most of the time they move through the forest on all fours. Compared with the other species, gorillas are slow but competent tree climbers. Their strict hierarchy ensures that the silverback is first to take its pick of the food in the tree. One of the black-backed males is second in line once the silverback is well established. The rest of the troop follow. There's plenty of food to go around as long as the group keeps moving on. The family will stay up in the branches until the silverback decides that he has had enough of that particular food. Gorillas have heavily distended stomachs because they need to consume vast quantities of plant material to fuel their huge frames. A tiny part of their diet includes ants and snails, but otherwise, gorillas are strictly vegetarians. A fully grown male eats about 27 kilograms of leaves, fruits and vines, over a sixth of its body weight, daily. Gorillas eat about 140 species of plants. They seem to know exactly when seasonal crops are ready for picking and, led by the silverback, they move to the right area at the right time. Wild banana trees are decimated when the gorillas move in. It isn't the fruit that attracts them, but the bitter, pithy stem. Gorillas can obtain all the moisture they need from their food, although they also drink water. Banana pith is one of the best sources of combined food and moisture. After several hours of feeding, gorillas need to take a break to digest their food. The respite usually lasts for about an hour. It's accompanied by cavernous stomach rumblings. Often, during the midday rest, play fighting breaks out between the young. It's a game which helps to establish their role in the group. The gorilla and the orangutan, both distant relatives of humans and both endangered. The two are different in many ways. The gorilla, the ape that lives in groups. The orangutan, the semi-solitary tree dweller. The gorillas rely on leadership for survival, while orangutans come together only infrequently. Both vegetarians, they also need a safe environment in which to live. Both two species threaten with a largely ritual display of force. People are at last coming to understand more fully the fascinating and very dissimilar details of gorilla and orangutan behavior. Is it possible that we can also understand that human commerce and greed are incompatible with the lifestyles of these peaceful primates? They need protection and undisturbed areas to live in. Remove the forests, and they cannot survive. If we continue on our present course, we will surely lose the great apes forever.
Well, it wouldn't be a weeknight on 5 without wildlife, and tomorrow at the same time, meet the monkey said to embody all the wisdom of Buddha, the Japanese macaque.